I need you to record this for me. Okay, awesome. Do you guys remember when Shadow used guns? Not any type of weapon, just literally guns. It sure made people angry and never want that again for the series. But man, could you believe it if they did continue with this idea? I mean, wow! Think of the amount of potential like Sonic shooting Eggman in the head with a Desert Eagle. Tails with a rocket launcher invading the home of the poor com- combatants. Knuckles having a crossover with Snake, like the possibilities are endless. Well, until you bring Shadow into the mix, because he'd actually not do anything, since he'd be a pacifist. Did you know every night you pray, you're praying to to Shadow the Hedgehog? Okay. Okay. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where today we have religions and the Pope back together one last time for the revelation of the century. And you know what? Sega has outdone themselves this time. I'm a fan of these games, but man, oh man, even I couldn't believe what I saw. And I've played these games time and time again too. They left so many clues and hints over the years, who's never noticed it? What is it, you ask? Well, firstly, you've most likely already seen the title, and secondly, just who is Shadow? Is he actually a hedgehog, or just a shadow of what once was this franchise? Bad jokes aside, Shadow the Hedgehog is surprisingly an important character to the Sonic series. The game he originates in, Sonic Adventure 2, which has Eggman infiltrating the base of his grandfather looking for his greatest work, and that being the ultimate life form for Shadow the Hedgehog. Weirdly enough, for being an ultimate life form, he's more of a knockoff version of Sonic. I mean, chaos control? That's the lamest power I can make. I can make a sandwich and use knife control every day to put butter on them. It's just that simple. Well, until I end up cutting my finger and doing a pain blast. This is so fucking unfunny. Going back to Sonic Adventure 2, we see that in the past, Shadow had a strong relation to Maria Robotnik, the daughter of Gerald Robotnik, the actual grandfather of Dr. Eggman. And this game is the only and last time we ever see Gerald ever again. You can tell this was made 5 years ago because it doesn't have Shadow. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. Only getting a few mentions in other games here and there. And in this, we learn why Shadow was created in the first place. He was meant to find a cure to save Maria, who had a terminal illness that made her unable to leave the place of her birth and go to Earth. Later, we see that she was killed by the Gun organization trying to help Shadow escape. Knowing all of this, you must be wondering, what is the thing we found about this character and the hints we miss? I like how that doesn't have a question mark. So what if I told you Shadow the Hedgehog represents none other than Jesus Christ himself in the Sonic world? What? I can hear you say, that's nonsense. Why would Shadow of all people represent Jesus from the Bible Bible fan fiction. That just makes zero logic. But worry not, since I was also skeptical when I saw this myself, but then the pieces and evidences started to add up, and that I had no choice but to believe in it. Before we go in depth about this, let's first talk about who Jesus Christ is. He's the main character of the he's the main character of the book Bible. A serious interpretation of the world's history. In it, we meet various characters who despise Jesus for telling them the truth and choosing to help the poor for no reason. His mother, Mary, chose to give birth to Jesus and loved him all the way until he died, because Jesus chose to sacrifice himself for the good of his people, although he was resurrected after 3 whole days. Okay, scroll down. Okay. If you haven't connected the dots yet, don't worry. At first glance, nothing seems out of the usual, but the more you look into it, the more things start to make sense. In the ending of story of Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow sacrifices himself to destroy the entire Ark colony and save the world. In return, he perishes when falling down to Earth. And guess what happens in the next game in the series? Shadow comes back untouched and alive, just like Jesus Christ himself. And Mary, if you haven't noticed, is like Maria. Both have a big role in the characters' lives. Maria was the only friend Shadow had in his life, and so was Shadow to Maria. Mary, while not being there for Jesus in his entire life, she still played a big role in it. Not only that, but Mary has a different name in the Portuguese/Spanish Bible book release. Her name is Maria, just like Sonic's Maria. Coincidence? John 14, verse 1. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me, Jesus said. You're going straight to hell, also said Shadow the Hedgehog. Wait to them? Okay. Now, what does this mean and what does it prove? For one, it shows that Shadow is religious as he believes that there is a hell. And second, it shows that Shadow is a different interpretation of Jesus. A shadow does not a shadow does not show mercy and would rather fight than to argument argument with others. But that does not mean Shadow is evil, as he has shown numerous times he fights for the good of the world and his friends, even if he may not call them friends at all. Now, to another evidence in Sonic Heroes. The gimmick of the game is that you play with different teams with different people, all going through their own stories, all in a team of three. And guess how many days did it take for Jesus Christ to resurrect? That's right. It's almost like it was intentional, wouldn't you say? I mean, they've literally been there for decades, and no one ever noticed. The amount of hints Sega put to the connection. Oh, you don't believe me yet? In the famous Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, we see that Shadow seals Mephiles using the Scepter of Darkness, and Shadow being the Jesus Christ of Sonic lore, then Mephiles has to represent Satan by wanting to destroy the whole world, and Jesus sealed away Satan in the pits of hell forever, but this now being the scepter in Sonic lore. Well, well, you're probably asking, but Mary doesn't have an illness like Maria. They're not similar at all. To that I say, we never know if she didn't have any illnesses at all during the Bible storyline. And for the sake of this theory, we'll say that she does have a terminal illness. Now, the final evidence, the last straw that will prove once and for all that Shadow is indeed Jesus Christ. In the newest Sonic game, Sonic Forces, in the DLC named Episode Shadow, you can play as none other than Shadow the Hedgehog. In his storyline, we see that Shadow gets affected by the powers of the Phantom Ruby and ends up going to different places at random. And guess who also went to a different place at random? That's right. When Jesus Christ was resurrected, he was in the middle of the desert for no reason at all. And there is absolutely no other explanation in the Bible canon that I have ignored or forgotten because I'm the game theorist game theory. Fuck. Seriously, every time I talk about Sonic, we end up going deeper and deeper. The Sonic lore will never stop growing and getting more in depth. Sonic is already the Dark Souls of bad games, too. It's amazing what this series manages to accomplish. Even the Pope never would have figured this one out. But that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. So fucking bad. Oh, I can't even make the Sonic voice. That was so bad. No, no, no. Why would you show me this?